This is so beautiful! You probably never heard an orchestra sound like this before. Traditional instruments fused with instruments from the future. Let me show you behind the scenes. So what I did here is I started with this piano sketch. I always want to get a sketch down with the main chord progression, harmony and vibe before I start to compose and arrange my music. So you can see the chord progression up here written out in the chord track. And I'm not going to use this piano track, it's just there as a sketch. The next thing I did was to add these orchestral strings for the harmony. To create that beautiful, lush, orchestral vibe. Now we can mute the piano and continue from there. So the first AI sound I created is in Synth GPT, and I created it with a prompt. You can write a prompt here and create the sound Dream Organ from Ancient Times and play it low. And I added some saturation, tape or tube saturation on it, and a smart reverb, pushed it way back in the hole. Then I complemented the strings with a orchestral choir like this. Those higher harmonies, as well as an orchestral harp. Just for some flair and shimmer in the high end. So now the backing instruments are orchestral plus that one AI instrument. Sounds really cool. Then I wanted to add some bass, of course. So I went to my favorite, one of my favorite orchestral basses, which is BBC Symphony Orchestra. And I actually added some saturation on it, tube saturation, in Decapitator. Then I layer it with cellos on top, 1 octave higher. Super warm, deep, powerful orchestral bass. But then I wanted to be creative yet again, so I used SynthGPT with the prompt acoustic bass on fire, and listen. Like a bass line, I added a bass amp, tube saturation, the fat effects in Logic, some chroma glow, and actual room widener to get it more spacey. And now the bass sounds like this together. Orchestral plus synthesized or synth bass line. Deep and powerful with that edge of the synth bass in SynthGPT. Now, next I wanted to add some drive to this. So before I added the percussion, I actually went with one of my favorite staccato strings libraries, which is an older one, Cinematic Strings 2. And I wanted to have this little bouncy feel to it. So if you check here in the piano roll, you can see I'm doing boom, tap, tap, like that. Right? Getting some groove on. Adding the harmonies. Okay. And after that, of course, it's time for some percussion. So I actually went with some orchestral percussion first. This is Tom's Extreme, and wanted some deep cinematic vibe, but with that cinematic snare and tom sound. Then I used another AI app called Drum GPT and went with this prompt, dark, dreamy, cinematic drum kit. I only wanted by the bass drum, basically. So I get this. Right? And even a shorter one here. Because you can control the length. And that together with the epic drums, you get the space from the orchestral drums and that fat grit from the AI drum kit. Right? Also, again, tube saturation, quite a lot compression here. Then I went with another drum GPT and used snappy 80s hi-hats, and I put them way down in the mix, minus 14 dB, added a room widener stereo space and some large orchestral hall reverb. Just that deep shimmer. So now, after I also put some compression and a channel strip here, SSL mixing channel strip on the entire percussion bus, it sounds like this. Right? You get that warm depth and space with some edge and shimmer in combination. Then finally I wanted to add some lead instruments. So again, a combination here. I'm using violins. This is BBC Symphony Orchestra legato violins. Beautiful, beautiful sound. So I copied that, duplicated the MIDI region here, including everything, and then I used SynthGPT with another prompt here, which is, let's see what I wrote, Sweet Mellow Flute from Medieval Times. It's really cool. I added some, again, I love using tube saturation, but also a tremolo effect for some stereo width, and again, smart reverb, a whole reverb, and pushed it back. Really sweet, mellow, deep sounding flute. So that, in combination, layered with the violin, this mellow air from the wind instrument in SynthGPT, with the first violins, a big lush section of violins playing the leading melody, really brings it out. So that's the entire track now. So let's have a listen from the beginning so you can hear everything in combination. Here we go. Deep cinematic music production combining orchestral instruments with AI sounds. Try it out yourself and have fun exploring this style of music.